Good afternoon. It's kind of mid to late afternoon as I'm recording this. You can probably hear, I guess it's either frogs or toads in the background. You're going to hear that every now and then. I think there's a pond nearby. Anyway, something peaceful about being out in the woods, and I think it's helpful to record these out here as opposed to how I recorded the first few in my car, although the acoustics are good in there. But I have this handy little microphone now that's really helpful. And given that I have a little bit better sound quality now, I wanted to record another message for my friends and family and for Christians. Not just for that reason. I've been thinking about the approach I want to take with my vlog, as well as how I want to engage with people on social media. And it's tough. I feel torn in so many ways right now. As for me, where I'm at is, I believe, a much healthier place for me. I know that many of my Christian friends and family will disagree with that because they believe that now I'm in danger of, some may be wondering, well, maybe he was never a Christian to begin with, and now he's in danger of being separated from God for all of eternity. Others will believe that I'm in danger of leading other people astray, once again putting them in danger. And please hear me when I say I really do empathize with that. As I've said before, I was a Christian for over 30 years. And even before I converted at the young age of 5, obviously I was raised in the church, and so I've been around Christians all of my life. As I've said before, the majority of my friends and family are still Christians. So I really do not want to come off as lacking empathy for those people, nor do I want to come off condescending in any way. Because as I've said before, I was there myself for so many years, and I think please hear me when I say I'm not assuming anything about your particular experience or your particular motivations when I say this. I'm just sharing out of my own experience and just what I've heard from other people who have shared their stories after either leaving Christianity altogether or maybe just coming to what they felt was a healthier view of Christianity. A healthier way of being in the world, I guess. Speaking for myself, I think I slowly began to realize over the years some of the reasons why I was holding on to Christianity. Obviously, one of the givens is that it's what I was raised with. I was raised. I don't think my parents, placed any, at least not knowingly, any kind of coercion or manipulation on me or my sisters, trying to push us to convert. I think they shared, the gospel and the Bible with us out of a genuine concern for our welfare, and it's what both my parents believed. And any parent who loves their kids wants to protect them from harm. And if you've accepted what the Bible or what Orthodox Christianity says about eternal punishment, or at the very least about, your life being snuffed out at the end and you not being given the opportunity to then have eternal life. This is called the Annihilation view of hell, by some. Obviously, it's much more powerful if you believe in eternal conscious torment, as many Christians do in our country. And so as a parent, if you believe the Bible to be the Word of God, and you believe that it's true, and you believe that it is warning you of this danger, and you believe that that is a real danger, then of course you're going to want to protect your kids from it. As I've said in a previous video, it's one of the reasons why I took like a year and a half to really, in a sense, solidify this decision. Even though in many ways I made it at the end of 2019, I've continued to test it and haven't been eager to just run with it, in large part because of concern for my kids, and their welfare. And even now, if I see enough evidence to point me back, if I'm a loving parent, if at some point I become convinced, oh wow, they were right, and the Bible is true, and this is a real danger, and then I'm going to share with my kids what I believe to be true at that point, out of concern for their welfare. But where I'm at right now, this is a phrase that will sound strange to many of you, but it's one that's helped me kind of wrap my head around as I try to understand my own feelings and motivations and all of this. Something I've said to myself is that one of the reasons I'm not a Christian anymore is because I was raised a Christian. Probably sounds strange. I mean, it's like, what? But I think if you're raised in a loving evangelical church in America, as I was, the people in the churches I grew up in, most of the people I knew were very kind and very loving towards other humans. And that's a big part of the reason why they were Christians. They believed that this book was good for humans. They believed that Jesus was the answer to humanity's problems, that he could save us from pain and death, that he could give us a better life now, one full of joy and hope and peace. So I think most people follow that either because it's what they were raised in, or because they genuinely believe that it's beneficial for other people, or a combination of the two. Or there can be any number of reasons why someone comes to Christianity and remains in it. But I do think for many it is a genuine concern for humans. We care about people and want what's best for them. And if so each of us is on our own journey, and in each of us at different stages in our life may have different beliefs about what we think is helpful for other people and what isn't. So when I say I'm no longer a Christian because I was raised a Christian, I'm thinking more of the interpersonal ethics I was raised with, how I was taught to exercise love and concern for all people, to extend compassion to all people, to be willing to share the good news, like, hey, you can have eternal life through Jesus. Like, you can't get much better than that, right? Like being able to defeat death itself. Shoot, of course that's good news if it's true. But I was also, raised to be honest with other people. I was raised to care about other people's welfare. So when I say that the reason I'm no longer a Christian is because I was raised a Christian, is that ethic of loving your neighbor, of caring for those around you, when I began to pull back and look at the Bible as an outsider and really examine more closely, without taking it for granted that everything God does in the Bible is good, without taking that for granted and just trying to examine it as a human book and looking at the picture of God portrayed there and asking myself, is this what a loving God would look like? Is this what... And the more I've looked at it, and as I said, I've continued to test that over and over again. I don't take for granted that my perspective is perfect, but as I keep coming back to it and keep looking at it, I say, there has to be something better than this view of God. What I see this in the Old Testament, and really I see it in the New Testament as well. I see a God who cares for his in-group of humans. And it doesn't seem to have a tremendous amount of concern for any other living things. And there are some ways you can frame the story to make him seem a little kinder. For instance, some atheists have raised, I think it's John Loftus, who is a former Christian himself, in the book, I believe it's called the Christian Delusion. Yes, it's a strong title. They kind of tell you up front where they're coming from. But he has a chapter in there that talks about animal cruelty. Obviously, he's using that as an argument against the Christian God being loving and kind, which is what as Christians you're taught, that he's loving, that he's kind, that he's good, that he's benevolent, that he's merciful. So he raises the problem of animal cruelty. And it's not something I had ever really thought about, Now, I'd certainly thought about how, the ethics of animal treatment, and generally I believe that we should treat animals well, that we should be, I think the way I would have framed it is good stewards of the creation that God has given us. But as I've contemplated the justice of God cursing all of the animals for something that two humans did, and this is, of course, considering the Orthodox Christian view of the fall and that occurring, when Adam and Eve sinned. Now, you could look at it from the standpoint of, well, Adam and Eve were given responsibility for the animals, therefore, because they were given responsibility for the animals, God was just in punishing the animals for Adam and Eve's sin, and that was just a consequence of it. But I'm like, why not just curse the humans? And even looking at human kindness, why not just curse Adam and Eve and then give each succeeding generation a new opportunity, rather than punishing every succeeding generation of humans to ever walk the planet? Even if you accept the young earth creationist view on the age of the earth that say it's 6,000 to 8,000 years old, even then you're talking about billions of people, not to mention all the animals that have died as a result, and all this for an action that Adam and Eve didn't really even understand. If you look at the context of Genesis 2 and 3, you see that they did not have an understanding of evil. Elohim basically says that, as he's talking to his counselors. Afterwards he says, they are now like us, understanding good and evil. Which is kind of a strange concept. But that implies that they didn't even understand what evil was before the fall. Nor would they have understood what death was, because aside from plant death, and maybe not even that if they were just eating fruit, they didn't know what death was, so they had no real understanding. It I mean, the comparison of like toddlers to 30-something parents, which I'm living out right now, doesn't even come close when you consider how intelligent a being that created the universe must be. So you compare his level of understanding and intelligence to these puny little humans who, according to the Bible's own account, did not understand what evil was and did not know death. And you're going to hold them responsible for basically cursing the entire universe, for the deaths of all the animals that have ever died on this planet. For turning certain animals into predators, so now they're killing each other and eating each other. You're blaming all of that on Adam and Eve, on two people who didn't know what they were doing. How is that just? How is that kind, I guess, when you look at it objectively, not taking for granted, well, God can do what he wants, not coming in with the a priori commitment to believing that God actually spoke through the Bible, but just looking at it objectively and examining the character of the God that these humans wrote about. How is that just? And yes, I will admit, I'm judging that from a modern moral perspective. But frankly, I think our moral instincts have improved since then. Does that mean humans have got to the point where we're not committing atrocities? No, we're still doing that. But I think we're slowly coming up with better ideas of how to live and be in the world over time. I know because of the advent of newspapers and of airplane travel, so the news goes back and forth so much faster, and then radio waves and television and internet, it seems like proportionately more people have been killed over the last 100 years. But from what I understand, if you look at the actual statistics, the per capita, murders have actually gone down in the developed world, especially in the last 50 years. So if you just look at it from violence committed by humans against other humans, that has gone down in the last 50 years, as opposed to getting worse. I mean, just think about, in modern times, we came to believe that slavery was wrong, and we have slowly been trying to put an end to the different forms of slavery. And I know there'll be disagreement about this, but I don't think that's an ethic you see in the Bible. The Bible does not condemn slavery anywhere that I've ever seen, and I've looked at this issue quite a bit. I'm not saying I'm the be-all, end-all expert on this matter. I'm certainly not. But I don't see anywhere where it condemns it. So either we're wrong to think that it is an evil, or the Bible is wrong on that issue. And that's tough to come to grips with. But I think I look at the way, as coming at it as objectively as I can, I look at the way humans are treated and valued. And I see God sometimes showing value to his in-group. I see Yahweh promising to love his in-group, but then only if they obey him and do what he says. Only then, which you see that in the contract with the people at Mount Sinai, with the people of Israel. It's like, if you keep all these commandments, if you love me and love me only and no other gods, then I'll do all these good things for you. But if you don't, here's all the curses you're going to get. So he loved his in-group, but only if they were obedient. And honestly, you don't see anything much different in the New Testament, because even Jesus said, if you love me, then my Father and I will come and dwell with you. It's like, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. He said things like, you're either with me or you're against me, sentiment like that. Like, you're either a part of my in-group, where you do everything I say and you follow me, or you're outside of it, and I'm going to destroy you. And obviously, the book of Revelation is a pretty stark picture of a future destruction of the world of humans, regardless of how you interpret that apocalyptically, whether you think it's still a future event or if it was a metaphor for some other event in the past. It still outlines a lot of slaughter of humans, let's put it that way. So I think where I'm at with all of this is, and I'm not saying I get to choose what God is like in any ultimate sense, but my hope is that God cares more about humans and about all living things than the God that I see in the Bible. So I'm no longer a Christian right now because I care about humans and because I care about living things. And I know that that's a hard pill to swallow for those that are still Christians who are still trying to hold on to a benevolent view of God. And I'm not sitting here condemning you or even necessarily trying to pull you out and like deconvert you. I can't say that would be healthy for you right now. I don't know where you're at in your personal lives, but I just know for me, I hope to find a better way. I hope we as humans can find better ways together, and maybe God is involved in all of that and is trying to move us towards a better way. And that might, as heretical as this probably sounds to Christians, that might mean we need to let go of Christianity and find something better, find something healthier for humanity. So that's kind of where I'm at, and that's why I now identify as a spiritual humanist. I'm still open to belief that God exists, and open to even to having a relationship with that being. I'm open to mystery. I don't know everything about the universe, and nor do I claim to. I want to learn and explore that. And along the way, like something I am committed to is loving humans, my family in particular. They come first. My wife and kids are my top priority. And then my extended family, my friends, and really all other humans, as well as all living things. I'd like to see us live together in as much harmony as we can, that as many sentient creatures as possible can live long and healthy lives. That's the foundation for the ethical system I'm trying to rebuild. And I think it's a healthy way of being in the world. And if you want to come on that journey with me, even though we may disagree on many things, I hope we can learn some things from each other. And you're always welcome. You're always welcome to come check out my videos, see where I'm at. I do ask, if you decide to comment, please be gracious and respectful towards others whom you may communicate with there. Please be kind. We can state our opinions and advocate for our beliefs without being cruel to each other. So I ask you to do that. And my hope is that we can help each other. Because we're humans and we all need each other. We need help, and we're all interdependent with one another. So let's go.